Get ready to discover 10 extraordinary individuals who push the limits of nature. Between world records and rare medical conditions, these journeys of resilience will transform your perspective on difference. Dive into the incredible and fascinating diversity of the human body. Number 10. Adrienne Lewis, the tongue that defies the laws of anatomy. Adrienne Lewis does not simply possess an unusual physical characteristic. She has an attribute that seems to defy the laws of anatomical physics as we know them. Originally from Michigan, this young woman stunned the world when the first images of her tongue, exceeding 10 centimeters, 4 inches, circulated on the internet. Imagine for a moment the agility and flexibility required to touch her own nose, chin, and even her elbow with her tongue. For most of us, this is an absolute impossibility, but for Adrienne, it is a daily reality she has learned to master since a very young age. This particularity, which she attributes to a family lineage sharing similar traits, is more than just a biological curiosity. At the beginning of her notoriety, Adrienne had to face a wave of skepticism on social media. Many internet users accused her of using editing software or special effects to manipulate her videos. However, her perseverance and multiple appearances on international television shows eventually proved the total authenticity of her gift. She managed to transform what could have been a source of complexes or mockery into a platform for self-confidence and acceptance. Today, she uses her visibility to encourage her community to embrace their own unique traits, proving that what makes us strange in the eyes of others is often what makes us unforgettable and unique in human history. Number 9. Svetlana Pankratova, monumental elegance toward the peaks. Svetlana Pankratova is the very incarnation of a monumental elegance that never goes unnoticed. With legs measuring over 132 centimeters, 52 inches, this former basketball player of Russian origin dominated the Guinness World Records for many years. Standing at 1.95 meters, 6 feet 5 inches, the majority of her height comes from her lower limbs, creating an almost surreal silhouette reminiscent of the proportions of certain works of art. Growing up with such a stature was not, however, a long, quiet river. During her adolescence, finding clothes adapted to her morphology or simply managing to sit comfortably on a bus or a plane was a permanent logistical challenge. Yet, Svetlana refused to be limited by these material constraints or by the sometimes heavy stares of passers-by. Her extraordinary physique became her greatest asset on international basketball courts, allowing her to shine in prestigious American university teams where her reach was an undeniable tactical advantage. Today, she wears her title with immense pride and a disarming sense of humor, never hesitating to joke about the difficulties of her life as a giant. Her story is a powerful reminder that physical greatness is nothing without greatness of soul and solid self-confidence. She has become, over the years, a global icon of body acceptance, brilliantly showing that atypical proportions can be a source of beauty, success, and inspiration for all women who feel outside the norm. Number 8. Romario dos Santos Alves, a warning cry about the limits of the body. The story of Romario dos Santos Alves is much more than a simple tale of physical transformation. It is a crucial and necessary warning for an entire generation obsessed with image. This Brazilian bodybuilder, in a desperate quest for visual power to resemble his comic book heroes, took reckless risks by injecting himself with synthol. This dangerous mixture of oil, alcohol, and painkillers inflated his muscles spectacularly, but at the cost of a catastrophic degradation of his physical and mental health. His arms reached monstrous volumes, but the product eventually solidified, turning his muscle tissue into painful, necrotic blocks of stone. The nightmare reached its peak when doctors told Romario he risked the amputation of both arms as well as major kidney failure. Today, after narrowly surviving this ordeal and undergoing multiple surgical interventions to remove the toxic substance, Romario dedicates his life to prevention. His testimony of brutal authenticity is essential on platforms like YouTube. He speaks openly about his struggle against body dysmorphia and the vital importance of accepting oneself without resorting to devastating chemical gimmicks. His story is one of magnificent redemption, highlighting that true strength lies not in the volume of the biceps, but in the ability to recognize one's fragilities and to choose life over appearance. His transformation is now deep, spiritual, and focused on helping others. Number 7. Mandy Sellers. Resilience in the face of the mysteries of genetics. Mandy Sellers is what one might call a true warrior of modern medicine. Born with legs and feet of a size totally disproportionate to her torso, she spent several decades without any doctor being able to provide a precise diagnosis of her condition. It was long believed she suffered from Proteus syndrome, before cutting-edge DNA analysis revealed a unique genetic mutation, a variant that now bears her name in medical annals. At one point in her life, her left leg alone weighed more than 90 kilos, nearly 200 pounds, making every daily movement incredibly painful and exhausting. In 2010, following a serious infection that led to sepsis, doctors had no choice but to amputate. But fate held a major surprise. In a manner totally incredible and unexplained by conventional science, the stump began to grow back at an alarming rate shortly after the operation. Despite these trials, which would seem insurmountable to many, Mandy maintains nerves of steel and a typically British sense of humor. She also possesses a communicative joy for life that commands admiration. She actively collaborates with international research teams to help understand these extremely rare genetic mutations. Her journey is a lesson in pure and absolute resilience. She proves to us by her daily example that a person's deep identity does not reside in their limbs or their physical appearance, but in their unbreakable will to keep smiling and moving forward, regardless of the weight of biological obstacles. Number 6. Annie Hawkins Turner, the icon of refusing imposed standards. Annie Hawkins Turner, globally known by the pseudonym Norma Stitz, possesses a physical characteristic that instantly sparks curiosity and debate. Suffering from gigantomastia, a rare medical condition causing continuous and excessive growth of breast tissue, her natural breasts reached a phenomenal combined weight of over 50 kilos, 110 pounds. Beyond the colossal physical weight pressing on her spine and neck, causing chronic nerve pain, Annie has had to face a lifetime of the weight of social judgment, mockery, and fetishistic stares. However, in the face of medical and social pressure urging her to undergo massive reduction surgery, Annie made a radical and courageous decision. She chose to embrace her body as it is, without any surgical alteration. She has become a niche modeling icon and a respected public figure for her plain speaking and self-assurance. Her confidence has become an impenetrable shield against the negativity of the outside world. By fully accepting herself, she openly defies traditional beauty standards and those restricted by the fashion industry. Annie is living proof that beauty and dignity are not a matter of standards proportions dictated by society, but a matter of self-possession and pride. She encourages thousands of people not to apologize for existing in a body that falls outside the ordinary. Number 5. Gary Turner, transforming fragility into performance art. Gary Turner possesses a gift that seems straight out of a work of fiction, but the reality behind his elastic skin is the result of a daily medical battle. Suffering from Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a rare genetic disease that affects collagen production, he can stretch the skin of his stomach or neck spectacularly by more than 15 centimeters, 6 inches, without feeling immediate pain. What could be perceived as a disabling infirmity, Gary chose to transform into an absolutely breathtaking performance art, captivating audiences worldwide. For years, he was one of the stars of renowned circus troupes, using his body to fascinate and surprise, but also to educate the public about his condition. However, behind the laughter and the wonder of the spectators hides a darker reality: extremely fragile joints, skin that bruises easily, and chronic pain inherent to his pathology. Gary speaks with a touching authenticity about the duality of his life, juggling his status as a global curiosity with the rigorous management of his health. His message is a magnificent example of positive transformation. Instead of passively suffering through his difference, he used it to stand out and bring a form of visual magic to the world. He proves that one can find their place and social utility by fully embracing their own biological fragility, transforming it into a creative force without limits. Number 4. Rumeysa Gelgui, a powerful voice for the invisible. Rumeysa Gelgui is a giant, not only because of her impressive height, but above all because of the strength of her spirit and her convictions. Originally from Turkey, she officially holds the title of the world's tallest woman at 215 centimeters, 7 feet 1 inch. This exceptional stature is the direct result of Weaver syndrome, an extremely rare genetic pathology that leads to accelerated bone growth and major motor difficulties. For Rumesa, moving around is never simple. She must often alternate between using a wheelchair and a walker to preserve her joints and energy. However, she never lets her reduced mobility dictate her ambitions or her mood. On the contrary, she has become a passionate and tireless advocate for the cause of people with rare diseases. Using her global platform and her Guinness records as loudspeakers, she sensitizes the general public and medical authorities to the importance of inclusion and research. Her sharp intelligence and unwavering determination command the respect of all who have the chance to cross her path, physically or virtually. She reminds us with profound wisdom that media visibility is a powerful tool for social change. Being different is an advantage if you decide to make it a strength, she often asserts. Her journey transforms a complex biological challenge into an inspiring life mission, making her a true ambassador of dignity and hope for future generations. Number 3. Jason Rodriguez, Giant Steps Carried by Solidarity. Jason Rodriguez, a young man originally from Venezuela, lives a daily reality that very few people can truly imagine. With feet measuring over 40 centimeters, 15.7 inches long, he holds the world record for the largest shoe size on a living person. This phenomenal and asymmetrical growth is caused by acromegaly, a serious hormonal condition linked to a benign tumor of the pituitary gland. Throughout his adolescence, Jason suffered not only physically, but also from painful social isolation, as it was strictly impossible for him to find suitable shoes in his home country. Walking barefoot on unsuitable ground or using makeshift fabric protections caused constant wounds and infections, drastically limiting his chances of attending school normally. His life took a major emotional turn thanks to the generosity of a German shoemaker specializing in extreme cases, Georg Wessels, who decided to manufacture and gift him custom-made shoes. This gesture, which might seem trivial to us, was a true revolution for Jason, restoring his mobility, security, and an immense part of his dignity as a man. Jason today shares his story with a humility that touches the heart, reminding everyone that needs as fundamental as walking without pain are luxuries for some. His perseverance in the face of his country's economic and physical adversity is a striking example of quiet courage. Number 2. Pauline Potter, The Courage of Rebirth and Truth. Pauline Potter's journey is a poignant and necessary testimony to the fight against extreme obesity, a disease often misunderstood and unfairly stigmatized. Weighing nearly 300 kilos, 660 pounds, at her peak, she was officially recognized as the world's heaviest woman. But behind this title, often treated sensationally by the media, lay deep human suffering, rooted in old emotional traumas and a complex relationship of seeking refuge in food. Instead of isolating herself in shame, Pauline made the heroic decision to make her struggle public. She participated in health documentary programs to show, without filter, the raw reality of her condition. The impossibility of washing herself alone, of walking more than a few steps, or of leading a normal social life. Pauline then embarked on a journey of radical transformation, undergoing heavy surgical interventions and drastically changing every aspect of her lifestyle. Her authenticity lies in her total frankness about relapses, doubts, and the immense psychological difficulties linked to the weight loss process. She does not seek pity, but a true understanding from the public. Her story is essential because it humanizes a complex pathology, showing that behind the impressive numbers on the scale is a woman determined to regain control of her destiny and to live, quite simply. Number 1. Lee Redmond, Infinite Patience as a Life's Work. Lee Redmond dedicated more than 30 years of her existence to an absolutely unique personal project in the world, letting her fingernails grow without ever cutting them until reaching a cumulative total length of over 8 meters and 65 centimeters, 28 feet. What could pass for simple eccentricity was actually a discipline of iron, requiring meticulous maintenance using warm olive oil and constant care to avoid any breakage. In an incredible way, Lee managed to accomplish her household tasks, cook, and even take care of her grandchildren, thereby defying all expectations of those who thought she was incapacitated by her particularity. Unfortunately, in 2009, a tragic car accident shattered her legendary nails in an instant. For Lee, it was an emotional shock of unsuspected depth. A part of her visual identity and a lifetime's work vanished in seconds. Despite this trauma, she bounced back with admirable resilience, sharing her experience on the fragility of our physical attributes and the way we construct our self-image. Her story invites us to a philosophical reflection. What truly defines us? Is it our external appearance, our records, or our ability to totally reinvent ourselves after a major loss? Lee remains an emblematic figure of human patience, proving that even the most unusual records are born from dedication and unfailing will. Number 10. Unforeseen circumstances. Discover the story of Luis, an athlete whose impressive physique intrigues visitors to the Great Wall. More than his build, it is his sincere bond with Mei that touched the hearts of internet users in China. Together, they illustrate the meeting of two worlds, showing that human bonds surpass appearances. Small tip: never judge a book by its cover. True strength resides in the sincerity of the heart. These 10 extraordinary destinies remind us that diversity is the greatest strength of the human species. Thank you for following these inspiring life journeys. Celebrate what makes you unique and remain kind toward every difference encountered on your path.